Hi, I want to give you some help with this homework so that you don't get stuck on some small thing that causes you to spend a lot of time. That's not the intent. The first thing you should do is start with the proper workbook. You could start from the homework 1 that you documented. That's okay, but it's better to start with the file that I put on the O drive and that I've emailed to you that includes the code that we worked on last Thursday night. And so that includes some of the items that are in this homework. So that file was called Sales with Code from Class Lecture. And that's what I've opened up here. So this workbook looks like this. If I click on search and I do team and BB, it runs, and it runs relatively quick, and it gives these results without a header column. And what I'd like to see is the header column. And that's the first part of this homework assignment. Modify the code so that the column headers are also copied to the sheet. Here's the code associated with that sheet. If I scroll down, this area here is where I'm doing the copying of the records from one sheet to the other sheet. Here is where I copy records from a specific row to the other sheet. If I copy this and paste it outside of the loop, so I'll do a paste. I don't know why I got that 4 in there. Oh, I pasted it in the wrong place. I'm using a computer I don't normally use, so I pasted in there. Then this means that I've selected range A1 because the count is equal to 1. And right here, and just to clarify this, I'll set I equal to 0. And that will make sure that I've not offset any. So I've selected a range A1 without any offset, and the cell that I want to transfer it to on the other sheet is A1, so it's A and count. So I'm going to copy range A1 from the current sheet with the offset 0, 0. I'm going to select 10 columns, and then I'm going to create this cell called A1, and then I'm going to copy it to the new one. Now that would work fine, except that when I come down, here, I will not have incremented the count, so this cell will also be A1, and it will overwrite. Well, I don't want to overwrite, so I'll just say count equals count plus 1. And now I'll be pointing at A2 down here, and it should work fine. So we can test this. I'll come over here, and I'll run this, and I'll try team AA. Oops, team AA. And it looks like it worked. and we'd want to check. So if I do end down, well, sorry, on this computer I don't know where end down is, but we could go to the bottom and count how many rows there were. The next part of the assignment is to look for the user entering an empty column. And I did that in class. You use this application input box to find out whether they've hit cancel or not. So in class I went over this, and the code looks like this. Here's application.input-box equals column name, and if column name equals false, that means they hit cancel. Then you exit the sub, and exit the sub. So that's how you take care of that. So that one's kind of done for you, but you can look at the code and understand it. So after doing the search, display a message indicating how many records were copied and the time it took. Where do I count how many records were copied? Well, here's where I'm copying the records. Here's a count. If the search term is equal to the cell, then I copy the record. This is counting how many records were copied, except that it also counts the header. So if I put down here, let's say in this message box here, this code copied, I have to do the ampersand, count, I'm going to say -2. Records, and ran successfully in a certain amount of time. I say count -2 because I've incremented the count here, and the header row counted as 1 also. So if I run this code, this time I'll search for area. This will take a little bit longer. North. So I'm looking for area north, and it's running. So it took about 4 seconds, and it copied 2,129 records. So if I came down here to area north, and I don't have my in down keys, but there's 2,130 in the header row, so that's 2,129 records were copied. And that's what I counted. So that takes care of those. Now you might say, you might want to have an if statement that said, well, if no records were found, so that's if count -2 equals 0, or if count equals 0, then do something. In this case, delete. Now this next part is a little bit complicated. I thought the other parts were easy. If the count of records copied is greater than some limit, then ask the user if they want to continue. So this is the pseudocode. I might have also written the pseudocode like this, and that is has the question been asked? Equals no, it hasn't. And then ask the question, and if the answer is continue, then set this variable to yes, and then you'd never ask it again. So the point is, you'd only ask this question once. So only ask this once. That's what this code is trying to implement. It's just ask the question once. And if they say cancel, leave. And if they say yes, continue, then don't ask that question again. So that one's a little bit more complicated. And then I want you to create a procedure that adds a sheet. Well, I already did that in class, but you can take a look at that, and I posted that online or on the O drive, so you can take a look at that and see what that entails. So these are meant to be kind of easy. 7 is getting a little bit complicated, but only in the sense that you need to keep track of the fact that your the index of the row you're looking at needs to be has to be decremented because you've deleted, and when you delete you fill up. So number 7 will take a little bit longer. So basically, if you use the code that I used in class, then a lot of this assignment will be easy, and then numbers maybe 5 and 7 are a little bit more complicated. And then this part here on using the sales data, that's pretty straightforward if you follow what I did in class. It's basically creating macros and then assigning buttons to those macros using a user form. And I showed you how to do a user form in another video.